Hey guys, welcome back for another exciting week. YOML, this is the year of magical learning. Today we're on book refraction, should I say, 211. This is actually part 3 of 5, the third installment of the book Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari.
Yeah, so this is continuing on with our top 5 favorites, which I think I actually ended up doing a 5-part reflection for like 6 books. So I guess I kind of broke my own rules, but that's okay. This one is about taking us back to Sapiens, and Sapiens is about humanity. It's a brief history of humankind. So kind of starting from ancient hunter-gatherers to where we are today, and then everything in between, and kind of how we evolved into who we are today as a species. It was a great book. Obviously, I really, really enjoyed it. I'm kind of curious actually where Sapiens would land on the list today if I had read it now versus when I read it, because it was such a unique, interesting perspective when I read it. It was one of those books where the knowledge that I learned from it was intense. I was like, oh my gosh, so many aha moments. Now there's so many times where I've learned a lot of these same principles throughout different books. I wonder how mind-blowing Sapiens would have been for me today. Either way, when it was read, and this whole journey is it's important in context, because when it was read, it definitely is, one of my top 5 favorite books. I mean, it's a great book. I'd recommend to anybody. This third reflection of 5 with Sapiens is titled When Culture Forbids, Biology Enables. So we've talked about this a few times in this journey about how I personally think that culture is one of humanity's super weapons. It might be the ultimate super weapon that we can conjure up, just because it's invented out of thin air and it unites us and connects us all in ways that, where we are truly better together than we are individually. And it doesn't make a lot of sense from a selfish gene perspective if you're looking at it strictly what's best for you. But what's best for you as each individual human is to figure out ways to connect together and to work together. And culture is one of those weird abstract things that we find a way to share ideas and to unite around those ideas and to I guess do incredible things together as humanity. It's a pretty amazing thing, honestly. So, however, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, right? Because we've talked about this other angle of culture a lot, where, when you walk into a culture, there's a lot of values and norms and expectations that have already been established by the people that built the culture and built it around a particular idea. And a lot of the expectation is that you check your values and norms and expectations at the door in order to be serving to the mission and the purpose of the said culture that you walk into. Or, that's, you have other choices. You can't. You decided you don't want to do it, but then you won't fit in really with the culture and you won't really be progressing it forward. So it's kind of it's like oil and water at that point in time. Like, you just won't mix, right? But that's a big sacrifice, right? If you want to, culture is so important to us and it's so unique to humanity, in my opinion, that it's a big sacrifice to ask a lot of people to check who they are at the door. And it reminds me of like the whole 90% chimp and 10% bee conversation, right? We are 90% chimpanzee. We are individuals. We are creative. We want to express ourselves. We want to bring our values to the table. And then that 10% bee of ours wants to connect to a broader purpose. Well, a lot of times cultures ask us to flip that around, where it's like 90% bee and 10% chimp, and that can get frustrating. So for me, Sapiens was a big eye opener, where a lot of times culture puts clamps on you as an individual, but biology never does. You can do whatever you want to do in this world as long as biology enables it. And there's really no reason why you can't. So if you're not loving the cultures that you belong to and it doesn't feed your soul and you don't feel like you're a beaver that must, then get out there and get that 90% chimp working, in my opinion, and let biology do what it can do until you find what you really love, right? And then the funny thing about culture is once you start doing the stuff that you really love, other people start to take notice, and then they start to say, oh, I like to do that too. And then all of a sudden you end up having a bunch of other people around you doing stuff that you like to do. And then you create your own culture, a shared culture with other people that it connects everybody. And now it's this great, unique thing that you guys built yourself. And that's how the cycle of culture works, right? So if you don't like the cultures you belong to, because it'll definitely put clamps on you. It reminds me of that bias book that we read a few months ago. If you don't like it, go build your own table. Don't fight for a seat at the other person's table. Just go build your own damn table and see what happens. Now, the funny thing is that the triple-edged sword, I guess if that's the word that can be even used, is eventually in your own culture, you'll start to bring in some 90% chimps that don't agree to your culture, And then at that point in time, like, it is what it is. Like, encourage them to go start their own, like, don't put the clamps down on them, like, foster that and bring it out in them and let them go, continue the cycle and help them to go start their own stuff, and then make it kind of all one big, roll up we're trying to do kind of with Clubany, right? Is, it's a bunch of cultures within cultures. We're not trying to tell anybody they can't do what they want to do, or to not be themselves, or to not express their own values. We're trying to tell people to do that. And then we'll give them an umbrella culture that can help support them through that. But in the meantime, form their own little unique cultures in the middle of it. So it's kind of like our grand vision of culture in a weird way. This book really helped inspire me and think about the idea of when the cultures you belong to tell you can't do something, screw them. Like it doesn't mean that biology won't let you do it. Like, go do it. Try to be the person you want to be, and other people will come follow you. Love to get your thoughts in.
Well, I think I have a divergent view on this.
Interesting. All right. Yeah. Bring it on.
So I think biology is actually forbids.
No, I don't think so. Biology has hard lines. Like, there's certain things you can and cannot do with
Right.
biology.
Biology is, like I say, a beaver must dam. A beaver cannot be a lion, and a duck cannot go to eagle school. You can't train a duck to be an eagle.
Right.
Because of its biology, it forbids it from becoming a lion if you're a beaver, or you're a rabbit, or you're a gazelle. It forbids you becoming a lion. So you're right. Biology has very hard rule. These are the things you can do. This is who you are. You are made by these. These are the properties of the genes, and the genes express in a certain way, and you want to be that and nothing else. If you don't, first part is, I think, biology enables in your particular pond of gene, forbids if you're outside of that pond. So to get that definition kind of clarified. The second thing is, I say, like, culture doesn't forbid. I think culture, well,
Yeah, yes, it does. It totally does.
for me, I think culture is not man-made. True culture is not man-made.
I totally disagree with that. Man-made.
That's why I say I have a divergent view, because I don't think culture is man-made. Because culture to me
Tell me more.
is,
Yeah.
to me, culture is like your expressions of who you are. You are the expression of your gene. You express yourself as a beaver if you have the genes of a beaver, and the activity you do dictates the arena of activity you do, i.e., the culture. To me, your biology dictates how you behave and what you like to do, and how you like to do it. And I think that because culture is dictated by biology, culture in itself is not man-made, even though we tend to classify the only thing we can do is say, okay, you have that, let's classify you. We don't actually make you, because when somebody say, I'm going to build a culture, say, well, it's not that you're building a culture, you're just telling everybody, hey, you should follow my gene expression, my activity that I like to do. As I'm the CEO, as a founder of this club, I want you to be like me. I want a lion to come into my tribe, and these are my culture. My culture is not created by me, it is an expression of me as a lion, right? Or if I'm a beaver, what I do is an expression of me as a beaver. Therefore, all the core values that I put out to say, hey, in order you become part of my community, part of my tribe, you have to embrace this core value, which you have to have like water, you have to have like, ability to make dams and engineer, whatever. So you don't actually create them, you just identify them and say, when you come in, you need to have these. If not, then you don't belong. Because if I'm a group of beavers who building dams, and a bunch of lion comes and wants to become a part of it, he can't do it. He can't do what a beaver does, vice versa.
But hang on, like, in humanity, a lion and a beaver can go work together. What we're saying is they shouldn't. Like, you should go find other people that are similar to beavers that like to do what you do. But a lion and a beaver and an eagle and a seal can all work together in humanity, because we're all different, and we can all share and connect around a particular idea. Now we asked the lion to subvert it. Maybe that culture is built on ideals of a beaver, but we asked the lion to subvert his lionessness, and the eagle to subvert their eagleness, to go connect together.
I disagree with that, because I think if a beaver, whatever a beaver does is what he does, right? Whatever an eagle does is what he does. And so there's no overlapping. For me, I see that humanity has so many minute like distinctions. So there are people who are producers. There are people who are the storyteller, and there's the people who are the connectors, right? So each of them are doing exactly what it is they're supposed to do, but because it's so diversity in terms of how many minute different like core thing they are, right? They're able to align with one another because if you have a connector, that connector, let's say, well, let's say, I mean, in terms of the animal kingdom, the eagles and the beaver, there is a big gap, right? There's a big gap between who is in the middle that can bridge between the two. In a human, there isn't too much. There is, but there isn't too much because somebody
Right.
is
Yeah,
is
we can
is
use our
very
ideas
good.
and
Is very
communication.
good.
We're good at expressing ideas and communicating those
Yes,
ideas
but
so
I
other.
can only express ideas to the person who is technical, but also at a creativity level, right? So
Right.
there is a next level that I can communicate with that has common language with me, has common value with me for me to connect. I can go and connect directly from a beaver entity to an eagle entity to a lion entity. It's not going to work like that. It has to transcend to a gradual because you have to pass on to the next one that is 90% like me, but 10% different. And then over to the next step, there's another person that is like 90% himself, right? So there is that overlap. Because of that overlap, I'm looking at the ability for that individual to have the bridging or the, I guess, like the overlapping of whatever circles he's in. The other circle is in the other camp, right? And so humans have the capacity to become very specific in the minuscule lines of core values that they have, right? When we talk about the animal kingdom,
Yeah,
it's hard to
animals don't have
create.
values. They don't have abstract concepts that they understand, to my knowledge. I mean, it could
No,
be,
we're talking about the expressions of the gene,
but
biology.
but this is the big difference, though. Like the reason why humans are humans and beavers are beavers is because we have this a weird way to connect and to transcend our just our phenotypes.
I don't think so. There's no way you can say, well, we can connect with somebody. I mean, the thing is, you tell me like 90% of all the human out there, right? That there's a common genes among each individual, right? That means that we have the ability to speak.
Yeah,
We
I
have
agree with that.
in order for us to be in the same work together, right? We have that commonality. If you were to go and reach out to an alien, right? And they don't speak your language and can't understand, don't have the ability to receive sound, for example, or the ability to communicate in common manners, there's no way you can connect, right? And so even they have the intentions or the core value, it doesn't work in that way because the biology dictate what you can and cannot do.
Right. This is, I agree. I'm saying biology is a hard line with humanity. The best example you can give, like they give in like, Sapiens, is homosexuality or something like that. Like, for in religious cultures, it's very much so forbid, like you cannot do XYZ or something like that. But that is not true. Like there's still you can do something like that. It's just the culture says no. So you get trapped into
You can't really go and have babies just because you say, hey, you can't,
I agree. I
because
didn't
it
say that,
forbids it.
but that wasn't what I guess that wasn't what I was meaning. I'm saying you can do that. Like it's not that you can't. It's just that
No, you can't. I
that
mean, you
you can
say,
express sexuality with a man or a woman or whatever. I guess people have sex with horses or whatever. I don't know. I mean, like
I
my
mean, the thing
point
is,
is like
how many people on earth do you think is, you know, homosexuals or, in the ratio? What is the
I
ratio?
I mean, it's kind of irrelevant because it's a spectrum anyway, and I don't want to get into like that debate or
Well,
something.
I'm just saying is
My
the
point
point. The
is,
point
yeah,
is, I
yeah,
say it's a small number. I would
uh,
say a very
in
small
theory,
number,
sure, yeah.
right? Because the point is, there's always these outliers, right? The outliers mean because you going through genetic mutation. I don't disagree with anyone who are homosexuals or anything like that. I'm just saying they have the genes, whatever gene that's mutated to give them the something to feel something different. I can't deny that they don't feel it, but then they're not made to do that. They're not made to that. Therefore, it forbids it. So they can't, even though they have, the emotional this
Well,
and
no,
that with
culture
the
forbids
other
it. Like,
with well, culture is created by it's who you are because you as a person, as a human being, I need to be connected with somebody who can reproduce. right? And so because that's
Well,
what
I mean, answers around all these things. Like you could invent ways to have an artificial womb or donate sperm to somebody or whatever to
no,
still have
you
a child.
cannot have
Like,
two like men having having kids
but we can figure it
together.
out. Like that's what
No,
I'm saying. I'm not saying that like that's just those
but I'm
two.
saying
But
culture forbids
taking
it.
you're taking a
Culture,
1 + 1 equals
no, no,
one.
no.
Like I'm saying, like
You have to
there's
look
other
at it.
problems
Have to look
associated.
at it from the general perspective. You can't say take one piece and say, okay, I can maybe buck the trend because I can do this, right? That's not what we're talking about.
You can solve your own problems. You can do whatever you want to do as long as you can get creative enough and you can figure out a way to
But
accomplish it.
I'm going back to what I say. It's what makes you who you are. It doesn't change
Oh,
the
I
fact.
don't. I mean, I'm saying there is hard lines. There is eventually there is
There is
hard lines.
a homosexual culture. Why is it a homosexual culture? Not because people create it. It's people just identify and classify them. They didn't create them. That's what I'm saying. Biology dictates what you do and what you cannot do, and biology dictates the culture, the activity that you do. You don't create it, even because the thing is, for certain people, right? You as a person or as a species, you express who you are because the gene that was put together to make you. That gene going to express a certain affinity for something.
But
That
hang on,
affinity dictates the kind of thing you can do.
but you're missing the biggest part of culture, which is a multiplier effect of not just you. Like that's the whole point. It's like if it was just you, we would just be chimpanzees. But the reason why we're able to accomplish so many things is because we're able to not just be us. Like we're able to be a collective.
No,
A collective is around shared ideas.
we have the ability to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes and have their perspective. That's why we have the ability to communicate in such a manner. That's why it's part of the selfish gene, right? Because
Right. We're still 10% beat, right?
We understand that if I were to go out and hunt the woolly mammoth or hunt the saber-toothed tiger, right? The ability for me to do that is very low. And for me to kill one, lion or tigers or deer or whatever, right? It would take me months for one person to get it. And so months, one deer divided by months of meat, right? The amount of meat per day is so small. Versus if I were to hunt with a group of people and I do it every week, right? That means I get maybe 1/10 of it, right? 6 months. And so it's still selfish gene. The selfish gene say, hey, what is the total overall projected future? What is the thing that I get back? So the selfish gene in itself, the gene for us to collaborate with each other is also part of our DNA. We have that gene. That's why we evolved as this species. Not because we have the ability to go, oh, I for whatever reason I need to communicate. Oh, I found this thing. We didn't find anything. Nature dictates that you become a random mutation. That random mutation gives you an advantage, and eventually your offspring, because you have the advantage of that mutation genes, able to survive longer, better, and multiply more because you decided that hey, I want to build a culture in this manner. It doesn't work that way.
I think it is exactly that. I think what you're saying is true. Plus the added layer of how
because
we utilize
I say this is because not everybody wants the same thing. Because I know I don't want the same thing as anyone else. Most people say, hey, you should be a leader. You should be in power. You should be in charge.
Who says that? What do you mean most people?
Like,
society
I don't
think you can't have a leader. Everybody can't be a leader.
What do you mean? And
you can be a leader of yourself, sure.
No,
but like you can't be a leader of other people.
Nah, you just twisting words, okay? I'm telling you that in my kids' class, right? There is a such thing as a leadership class, and everybody has to take it. You have to be a leader. You have to be a princess. You have to be a Prince Charming. Everybody has to be a princess.
That's not cool. If everybody was a leader, then there's no following.
That's what we are. That's what we are told. We told our kids this. This is what school.
But this is my point. Is like this is a part of our
culture. So back to what I'm saying is whenever I'm a beaver going to a lion den, I'm told to accept that lion's culture. But the thing is, I can only pretend so much. Eventually, I'm going to exhaust myself, and I will have to leave that culture.
But this is exactly what I said.
You go work for a certain company. There's so much you can take, until you are going to sacrifice your health, your mental stress, and your insanity
Right.
for that culture, depending
Right.
on how much that culture is anti, is opposite of your culture. There are certain things overlap, and you can, yeah, I can stay in here for long. But if a culture negates most of your core values, you would not last long in that culture. That's
I
why a
agree.
lot of people, when you go work for a company, the culture, quote unquote, is coming from the founder. The founder say, "Hey, I am this kind of guy," right?
Bro.
For when I
Or
hire people, then they're going to have to be like this. I'm an aggressive person. I'm a rise grinding person. They're gonna have to recruit other people that is rise grinding. They're not gonna say, "I'm gonna find a guy who does nothing and just gonna sleep and then find inspiration when they can find it." They say, "No, that's not a culture. You get out of here," right? So if I were to say, "Yeah, I need a job," so I'm going to pretend that I'm a go-getter, blah blah blah, right? I go in there, I probably last for like 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, and even I'm very good at suppressing and sacrificing myself. I probably last 10 years. But even then, after that, it's like I have mental stress, I have a bunch of stuff. So eventually, you're
yeah.
gonna get bucked out of the community, of the culture. So culture isn't created by men; it's just an identification of who that group is.
I totally agree. That's kind of what I said. I feel like that's what I said about culture. I don't know whether you want to call it's created or not, because we are actually creating a culture with what we're doing.
We're not creating culture. We identified who we
Well,
truly
I
are,
don't
and
you
we get
call
together
it.
and say, "Well, this is how we are." Anyone who comes to us, right? If they don't have any compatibility, doesn't align with what I do, then they're not gonna last.
I, but that's what culture is. Like that's what I'm trying to
Exactly,
say.
and I'm saying it's a culture
Purpose.
created. It isn't created. A culture is just being identified. It's not created.
So a culture,
Always exists because when you get together, because you have some
right?
commonality,
A culture
there is no
exists.
reason for me and you to get together if I don't like what you say.
I agree. Like I'm. It's like if
Because
there's
it's not like you and I go and establish something and say, "Hey, we established this. You guys have to like this," and then we like,
but
no, we
listen,
already like. I already like your perspective on life,
right?
right? And right, that's how we start a company. It's not because we created and
Look,
then we get come together. No, it
if
doesn't
some
work that way.
if
You and
somebody
I
walked
have
in,
similar thinking.
I agree. But if somebody walked into Clubany today and was like, "Hey, this needs to be more like Elon Musk," we would say, "Get the fuck out of here." Like, or we would make them feel miserable until we ran them the fuck out of here. We'd be like, "That's not what we want in this world. Like, that's not how we
You're right.
are
That's all
trying
I'm
to move
saying is
forward."
what
So,
we are
but my
identifying.
point is, it doesn't mean that biology means that you can't be Elon Musk or can't do other stuff. The whole point is
You
cultures
can't.
will
You
put
can't.
parameters around stuff.
No, you cannot be Elon
Biology
Musk. You can.
doesn't.
You can. You, if like I said before, and you with me this point before, if I'm a beaver and I try my damnest best to be a lion, I cannot even beat the worst of the lion.
There's
So if I'm
100%
not
not even a
Elon Musk,
disagreement.
a number of hours
Like you
to
could try.
become no,
Like I'm
it's
saying, a
like,
beaver couldn't even try to become a
I mean,
lion.
there are thousands of companies out there claim to be the Uber of X. How many
I
Ubers are out there?
True. I agree with you. I'm saying that's the unique part of humanity is you can try, but like I'm the whole point is we're saying
No,
don't try. Like you shouldn't try, but like you should go build your own. Is
I'm
what
just that not unique to humans. It's unique to all the species. It's just
No
that,
beaver's gonna see a bunch of lions running around and go, I'm gonna go try to join the lion pride. Like that's not possible.
look, for example, when chicks hatch, right? Let's say when chickens are hatched, and you have somebody, like say ducks, chicken, whatever, without the mom, right? Let's say you put a cat or a dog, right? Do you understand there's the ability for the ducklings or the little chicks to make an impressions on the first animal, whatever they see, and they think it's his mother, right?
No way.
True.
I mean,
Okay, let's say there is a
duckling
possibility.
you're saying that never comes back?
Let's say the mother gets killed. Let's say the mother got killed and get
oh
a
sure,
bunch.
fine. It's if for just for survival's sake, sure, I could see that. But
I'm just saying.
if there's a choice between a
I'm
chicken
making.
and
I'm
that's
making
like
okay, because if you have a bunch of eggs, right? The mother no more, right? But like say a dog trying to incubate and hatch the eggs, right? Yeah, they're going to impress. Hey, this dog is my mother, and they're gonna follow that dog, right?
I don't know. Do you think they will?
I don't have any personal experiment on that, but I have seen stories and whatnot that these are what, and I tend to believe that these
I mean,
I mean
maybe.
even
I don't.
even the cuckoo birds, right? You know the story about the cuckoo birds?
No.
So the cuckoo bird, right? They go and lay eggs on another bird's nest, right? So what happened is whenever it hatch, it trying to kill the other egg so that the mother feeds the cuckoo birds, right? That's what I've seen on like National Geographic.
That's selfish, Gene.
And so the thing is that these the cuckoo birds, right? They are imposter. They impress on the mother to feed and to think that hey, that baby is hers.
Right, but it's their mom, right?
The mom, right, finds a nest with eggs in it, lays her egg into that nest. And then because the cuckoo birds, they are bigger, so they usually gonna hatch first. They hatch first, right? And then when the mother of the nest that it was in goes away to find food, it will push the eggs off of the nest.
How'd the cuckoo bird get into the other bird's nest?
When the mother goes away to find food, there's a bunch of nest. Let's say there's 4 eggs, right? There's 4 eggs in the nest. And the cuckoo bird mother is gonna watch from a near branch, right? When they see the mother of the nest flies away, the mother of the cuckoo birds go into the nest, lay an egg, the 5th egg there.
Why?
Because that's their culture.
That's cuckoo, man.
It's cuckoo. But then the cuckoo,
the
the 5th egg, right? They're bigger than the other eggs, and they're going to hatch first. And even before they can open their eyes, they will actually push the other eggs down off of the nest to the ground and like break them. So the only birds left is the cuckoo bird. It gets all of the food from the mother, right? And the mother thinks that this bird is
that's
hers.
wild.
The cuckoo bird, that's what they do. They lay eggs and it goes away.
So the cuckoo mother never comes back for the cuckoo bird.
No.
So the cuckoo bird does get raised by somebody else?
Yep.
So what in the hell? I mean, man, that's talk about wild evolutionary genes. Like
but I'm just saying, there are possibility where you are impressing on something and you think that, hey, I'm supposed to be like this. I'm supposed to be like that. In a beaver scenario, if you can trick it, right? It doesn't know. It doesn't know that that's not him. That he's not supposed to be a lion. He doesn't know. He will try to be a lion. Inhuman because of the wicked environment that we're in, the dynamics environment we're in. There are certain things we don't know. We think we are part of this. We think we are a leader. We think we are Elon Musk. We think we are this, but we don't see the distinction, right? It's hard for us to say, hey, I am not this person. Because we as a human species, we have the ability to be a bunch of different characters. We can be a kind person. We can be a nasty person. We can be a happy person. We can be a angry person. We can be an evil person. We can be a silly person. We can be all sorts of stuff. For me and you, as you and I are, sometimes we are nice to people. Sometimes we are nasty. Like, what the hell is going on with you, right? But that's the thing is we have that because our genes, brains that we have the ability to do that. And because we are almost able to do this, that, and other, it makes us think that we can do that. It makes us think we can be like Elon. Make us think we can be like Jeff Bezos or whatever.
I'm really struggling here to because you're saying the same stuff that I agree with. Do you not agree about that? Because you're saying the same stuff.
Saying is biology enables in the limited expressions of the gene. It doesn't enable you universally.
Humans can be like an apple. Remember from the Botany of Desire? Every apple is unique. An apple does.
Exactly. So it is enabled in its limited ability.
But I think you're maybe misconstruing when I said biology enables, or when like Sapiens says biology enables. I didn't say biology enables everything. Culture restricts so much.
Is culture and biology the same thing?
You think like Salesforce? You think the Catholic Church is the same thing as biology?
Yes. Because why do you think the Catholic Church has rules and doctrines for this kind of thing? Because without their particular culture, they cannot maintain the desire they want. How do you make people submit to you?
It's not a submission. They're joining forces like willingly.
To do what? To do what?
To do whatever the mission is, like of the culture.
Exactly. Just like the Nazi. What's wrong with the Nazi?
I mean, I'm not saying the culture is always good. I just said that.
No, and I'm not saying anything other than whoever is in charge of it has a certain desire because of his or her expression of his or her gene. These
There's nobody in charge of the Catholic Church anymore. The Catholic Church is a living, breathing entity that exists without
No,
the
it doesn't.
Vatican, or that
No.
exists with the Vatican. Yeah, it does. Like, I mean, there's no way that my grandmother, like, you know, or my mother, or any of my family members, or any of the people that I go to church with, like, you know, it exists because the small community here. Like, if you take away that small community here, then yeah, then it goes away. But the larger, like, nobody gives a shit what goes on in the Vatican, you know, like, nobody cares. Nobody cares what goes on at Salesforce HQ, you know, that are in their Dublin office, you know, like, I mean, they don't, like, it's a team of teams, you know, but it's all with shared values. Like, it's not the same. Like, there's no one person running the show. Mark Benioff doesn't run the Salesforce culture anymore. He doesn't. The people run the culture, and the team of teams of people run that culture. And those people can leave if they want to.
Whoever owns a share runs a culture.
No, you can design a culture. There is a certain level in which you can design a culture.
I mean,
there's a group of people that can have control in the early stages, but once an idea takes hold, then that idea is no longer theirs. It's humanity's, and that idea can go wherever they want it to go. Like, they can't control where an idea goes.
I mean,
for a certain period of time. It's like
you think about all of the histories, the Aztec and Mayans, right? I mean, they exist longer than most Europeans here, right? But there isn't any. Well, most of them are lost because they were destroyed. The evidence
that you couldn't destroy a culture. I said
no. I'm just saying is you saying because somebody wants it. I mean, you're talking about, let's say, back in the ancient days where there's no currency. How do people do commerce? They trade coffee for salt. They trade beans for potato. Right. They trade beans for potato. Then somebody say, hey, you know, let's use gold. You know, I trade you, you know, beans for gold, and you take gold and you trade for salt, and vice versa, and potato, whatever. And then once you do that, then people say, well, instead of using gold, I'll give you this piece of paper. Well, who decides to use that piece of paper? The worthless piece of paper.
Collective, though, like, I mean,
no, it's not collective. It's not collective.
The U.S. government can say that this piece of paper no longer holds any value anymore, but that doesn't mean that the citizens of the United States doesn't even exist. We're going down
back in ancient days, they took away all the gold and traded you a piece of paper because the emperor of some country says so. The reason why all international trade has to be bought with the American dollar. You cannot buy oil with the Japanese yen. You cannot buy oil with the Chinese yuan. You cannot buy anything international without the dollar. And why is that? Because we, as the United States, dictate that everything must be purchased using the dollar. Why can we say that? Because we are the #1 military power in the world. And
for now.
But the thing is, we decided that, and Nixon took the dollar off of the gold standard because we are the #1 military power in the world. You don't have to talking about, like, you know, the other aspect, like, you know, how many people go to university, how many be smarter. As long as they have the military power with the ability to enforce it, you can decide and dictate. So when Nixon comes in, right, Nixon and his cabinet, a group of 20, 30 people, decides that, hey, I want to take the U.S. dollar off the gold. They dictate that.
He got voted out of office.
But it sticks. It stays there. Because right now, we can print any amount of U.S. dollar we want.
Okay, I think we're going down a rabbit hole of, yes, we live in a culture within a culture within a culture within a culture. I mean, there's. But
all boils down to is it dictated by that person or by somebody who has the power and the influence. Not to begin with.
I don't think that anybody owns the United States.
In perpetuity.
No one owns the United States. Like, no one in the direction of this culture. Like, no one does. Like, that's the beauty of it.
Why can't you run for president?
I can't.
What's the chance of you becoming president?
I don't know. I have no idea. What's the chance of anyone becoming president? I don't
It's a
know.
good
Better, but like, I mean,
you have it makes you.
what about before all that existed? Like, you know,
Eventually, what happened is because of the people's agenda is the expression of
yeah,
who they are.
the Democrats and the Republicans are their own culture.
What this group does, like the Democrats and the Republicans have different ideals because of whoever is in charge decides, hey, we are Republican, we want to be more conservative, we want to make money, the more logical. Republicans more logical in a way, quote unquote. The Democrat is
hang on, we're going down a
just somebody is dictating what kind of activities and what kind of culture is acceptable inside of that group.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is culture forbids it. And like, but I can still think whatever I want to think. I can still do whatever I want to do. And I can still like, I mean, that my point is like, I don't have to listen to the United States government and I don't have to listen to the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I don't have to listen to the International World Monetary Fund. I don't have to listen to, I don't know, whatever, you name it, like the Catholic Church. I don't have to listen to anybody. Like I could do whatever the fuck I want to do because I'm a human and as long as I'm biologically able to do something, I will do it. Like, you know, if I want to. And that's the whole point is like,
so what happened if you want to marry 10 wives?
Then I'll do it. I'll turn to the Mormon religion and like we'll start the Mormonisms, like, you know, and then you can go have, you know, as many wives as you want and then go get a religious exemption, which what the fuck does that mean? And then, you know, have 10 wives. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I'm saying like if that's important to you and you have a collective group of other people that care about that.
That's what I'm saying is, you know, you as a person decides what you want. That's biology. And you as a person goes and find, right? That's what I'm saying is my point is that you have to go find, right, other people that's willing to accept you. I.e., you want to your genes wants to be.
I think you do what you do, and then other people find you.
What happened if you want to marry 10 wives and you say I'm going to go find this woman? Oh.
Well, you only start with one that wants to have two, and then you start with two that wants to have three. Then you start with three that wants to have four.
No, I'm saying cultures are not created. Cultures are formed based on identification. I identify with this person. Hey, the Mormons, they can have 10 wives, have more wives. I identify with them. Therefore, I'm going to have this collective. I'm going to be attracted to them. They're attracted to me because we share the common values. My point is that we, as a biological entity, is an expression of culture. And the culture, if it aligns, it meshes. And if it doesn't align, it repels, right? And so that's why I asked you, you know, let's say you want to have 10 wives, you're going to align with the Mormons because they have common value.
It's actually funny you're even talking about wives because like how many people in this world have slept with 10 women, you know?
About legally married.
Well, but legal, what is legal marriage? Like, you know.
But I'm saying is like, so how many people have slept with more than one woman? Right? That's the gene that you are given. Right. You didn't decide that. You say, I have this urge.
This is what I'm talking about. Is biology will let you sleep with more than one woman. Like, but culture says you need to be married and you need to have this and you can only have one wife, you know? Like,
but the culture, right, is what I call identifications of the persons or group of persons that forms the group in the first place. So yeah, you and I, right? You and I for the first two in Clubberny. That means that anyone who comes into Clubberny will have to adopt our culture. Otherwise, we won't say, "Hey, you don't align with that." Right. There's no need for us to come in. But eventually, there's going to be 98 of people, and the 2%. So we, as a 2%, become the dictator of the culture because we identify ourselves.
Eventually, it breaks out of that, though. Eventually, there's a break. No, I don't know when the tipping point is.
What can you do? Because the thing is, when you cannot break out of it, right? Because unless somebody comes in and truly is believing in all the things we say, and we accept them in, and once they come in, and whatever reason gain power, right? It becomes this grand masses of the 7th generation committee, and then certainly change of heart. But the thing is, the people that we bring in, 90% of them going to have the same core values that we have. If not, they will not make it to
what about the Australian group or the UK group or the Japanese group or whatever, where I don't even speak their language, you know? Like, I mean, I can't control, like...
No, I'm not going to charter somebody who doesn't take in... The thing, what is Clubberny's missions and core values? Right? Our mission is to discover
Right.
ourselves and live those core values.
But people can do that
All
in any
core
way they
values
want
is
to.
balance, right? But the thing
Right.
is, balance is balance.
I guess it could be, as long as they're happy and they're
No,
fulfilled and
yeah, you walk in a fine line here. I mean, there are certain core values that you either, yeah, yes, I can see, yeah, that in me, or you don't, right? It's not like,
well,
hey, you know,
that's what I said at the end of this whole thing. I said it's a triple-edged sword. And eventually, like, you start your own culture, if you want to call it that, because you want to rebel against other establishment cultures, and it's not fitting. There's not alignment with what you want to do. Eventually, if what you built is attractive to other people, then you're going to have those situations. Like, if you're a good culture, I had this quote at the bottom of this whole thing that was like, there's a quote that said the measure of a leader should be how many leaders do they produce, right? Well, maybe the culture should be measured by how many unique cultures it's helped to produce. Because, like, to your point, there's always going to be people that are going to say, well, I want to do this is what I think of balance. Well, that's fine. That's not what we think of balance. So if that's what
then
you think of
you
it,
don't
then go
belong in this
start,
group. You
then
don't
go
this group.
do where you
No,
want to
then
go
it won't
to.
be club.
Right. That's okay.
But that's what
That's
I'm
actually,
saying.
it's a good
I'm
thing.
saying is anyone who is gathered together will have some commonalities. And the longer we have, the more commonality we have, the closer we understand each other. The longer our journey will be together.
Right.
If you have less, you're gonna diverge sooner.
I mean, look at
So
like
that means that
the Protestant religion is literally
the most
protesting.
tight knit group will have the most common.
I
It,
agree, but like I guess
and that common is the culture,
I agree. This is what I said from the very beginning.
because that's biology.
All right,
You
I
know,
do not connect those dots together.
for me, it's like you and I wants to go and talking about equality, right? Let's talk about equality. We don't understand equality because we say equality isn't good because equality suppresses who you are.
I said it doesn't. It's not something that.
Well, not good.
Sure.
Okay,
To us, I
because
didn't
in
say
my
it's not good,
perspective
though.
is like you want to be different, but not equal. Equal means the same.
Right.
Okay.
No, yeah.
You can talk about in the same in hey, two forces are almost the same but not the same, right? When we're talking about equality, we're talking about the same. Same means it's the same. We don't want same, we want differences, right? In terms of equality, in that sense, when we talk about equality for us, right, there's no way for you to convince me that equality is acceptable in my group because I just don't believe in it. So for you to come in and talk equality, I said, well, I don't understand and I don't believe. Then there's need for me to meet with that person every day or whatever, right, to talk about things that it's beyond my head or beyond my.
You just don't want to. It's okay to say I just don't care. Like
No,
I mean,
my point is once you don't care,
right.
then group diverge. The group diverge. That person goes and create his own group. I create my own group. Therefore, this group and this culture, it dictates by who is left behind, who is aligning with other person's core values. That's why I'm saying core values, right? It is determining by your expression. And your expression dictates your activity. And activity identifies you as a culture.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, these are abstract concepts that need to be defined through actions. And those actions then are how we define what equality means or does not mean to our culture, right? But at the same time, like, for culture to work,
because you can't define culture. You can't pick a culture. You can't say, hey, I think equality is good. Let's pick it into. It doesn't work with me. I mean, if you bring in like equality, something that I don't understand, I don't believe it, then for me is this group, I won't be in it for long because it doesn't identify me. So you don't actually create me like, hey, you can choose with your own free will. I can't because I'm a beaver, right? I can't because I have this tendency to do this or do that. Therefore, anything I picked isn't picked by me. It's just picked by my biology.
I think I maybe understand what you're saying. You're saying your biology naturally gravitates you toward a culture. Therefore, you don't really pick that culture. Like, it was already predetermined for you to be in that culture because your biology says that's what it is, right?
You cannot. You cannot ask a lion to be in the river.
Okay, I'm gonna say we're gonna leave it there because I think I tracked where your brain is going. I'm not saying that I don't agree or do agree. I'm saying that I don't know that I know what I think at all about that. I'm trying to piece that one together in my head for a second in terms of where I would even.
I mean, the thing is, what I'm saying is, it basically boils down to what we say in the beginning in many previous episodes.
But
you are who you are because of your genes. You cannot escape it.
Yeah, but
you can't control that genes.
Here's what I'll give you a question to stew on as we call it quits for the night. What you just described would make sense if you only belong to one culture. You don't belong to one culture. You belong to cultures within cultures within cultures. So sometimes you don't even know that you're in a culture and you're in the culture, right? You can't say that your biology will only ever drag you to cultures that you agree to. I disagree with that because I don't know that you even know how many cultures you're involved in. That's how complex humanity is with cultures.
That's why we have to distill it to a single, simple concept first before we can take it to the next level. We cannot understand the complex dynamics of human nature. It is so complex. It is like 1,000-fold, right? So we can't understand the second step unless we understand the first step. The first step is saying if you have one gene only, you have like millions of genes. But if I say if you have one gene only, you cannot be something else your gene doesn't dictate you to be.
Even if you bought Clubany Island on that isn't owned by any nation state and that has no technology and has no other I mean, like, so I don't know that you could ever escape other cultures.
You can't, because if you establish an island, right, it has to be under some sovereignty. If not, who's going to offend you?
Right. This is what I'm saying. Is like it's always. Like, I get what you're trying to say. Like your maybe is the culture that you decide to dedicate.
So to me,
a certain level of your time
my point
be actively chosen.
It's about culture selections. It's not culture creations.
But sometimes you don't get to choose your cultures.
So some circumstances where you cannot choose a culture.
Right. But you can't choose to be Vietnamese or Asian or not.
So the thing is, you cannot choose your culture because of who you are. Biology dictates that. Okay? There are certain culture that is just because you are a human, you have to belong to a human culture. You are Vietnamese descent, you have to belong to the Vietnamese descent.
What's
you are Vietnamese descent in America, then you have to live in. So there's a culture within a culture. So this culture you cannot change. And then there are certain things like it's not in that zone of specifically those culture, but in the zone of, oh, I'm an introvert or I'm an extrovert culture, okay, or I'm a sports tennis loving.
How many cultures do you think you belong to?
Hundreds of cultures,
maybe thousands.
I don't disagree with that, and that's why our world is so complex and so dynamic that if I were to start with that, we get lost from the beginning. So that's why we say the beaver must dam. I'm not telling you to be a beaver. I mean, we have 1,000 things more genes than a beaver, but we need to understand if we have only one gene like a beaver to kind of get a footing first, and then you build on that footing, on that base foundation, on the next step. Because without it, we wouldn't understand the second one, the third one, and fourth one. How will you go to 1,000th one?
Ironically, though, like you only know what you don't like because you are involved in other cultures. Like it's not like me being a Salesforce employee, like only allows me to understand what I don't like about that and what I would want, what I do like about myself, and understand myself a little bit better and to guide me toward that path. Like it's not, other cultures aren't a bad thing, obviously. Like it's, I think if anything, they could be seen as a guide to helping you to find your own way to what you want to really do. I think my final thought on this is, if you're going to dedicate yourself to, there's going to be at least one dominant culture in your life, like that you choose. Like
you don't choose.
And the culture that
you don't choose.
No,
you must. Yes, you must. No,
yeah, choose
identify. Right.
Right.
You must identify. Well, you don't have a choice. It's like if I'm Asian, I cannot choose to be white. I cannot.
But those aren't like, what is white culture? I mean, I don't know what is
White
Asian
culture is
culture.
what
I mean,
people do. They think different.
what does white people do? I'm a white person. I don't know what white people do.
I mean, they're different. They're not the same.
Is it a Midwestern white person? Is it a Northeastern
Mhm.
white person? Is it a Canadian
different.
white person? Is it a Chilean white person? Spanish white person? Is it a Norwegian white person?
What I'm saying is you cannot choose to be black, white, Asians, Indian, Mexican, whatever.
But
You
I don't even
are
know that's a
born.
culture. Like that.
You are.
A nation state is a culture because you're not just Asian. You're Vietnamese. Like, you know,
Yes, we established it before.
you're
We
not
established
Thai.
before.
You're not Korean.
We live in the reality that we have thousands of culture that we belong to.
But if I said you're an Asian, so you should identify with Koreans, you would go,
Yes,
well, I don't identify with Koreans.
I identify with Koreans in some aspects, but
Well, I identify with you in some aspects.
you identify with me as a human being. You and I have shares, genes.
We're small.
No, I think our identifications is the core values of
Of course.
learning.
I mean,
At least to me, is priority in my mind. I don't white,
that's my
black,
point. It's like,
or Hispanic, or whatever. If you take all the top priorities away, then yes, the Asian would come into consideration the next one and the next one and the next one. But because we have shared common values on the top of it, that it basically masks everything else that we
Yeah.
have, quote unquote, that differences.
all the other cultures that we don't align on, like, it's irrelevant.
What I'm saying is you and I have a certain genes that wants to learn, that wants to read, that wants to explore our core values, explore who you are. That's the common gene that you and I have, right?
But there's no biology that's telling
Yes,
me that
they're
I
all
have to do that.
biology.
I don't even
Everything
know
is
what to
biology.
call it. I don't even know
Everything
what
is
to
biology
call it.
because if you are a mushroom,
Purpose is not biology.
I guarantee you have a different culture.
Are you saying purpose is biology?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna pause it there because that's an interesting thought, and we can come back to this because I gotta go to bed because it's 10:30.
I mean, like I said, this is one of the top 5 books. I mean, regardless of what you say, this book lays a foundation for a lot of the concepts and ideas that we talk about.
It definitely gets you thinking, right? Like, that's the fun part about it. You know, it puts some ideas in your head and it makes you think through it.
I mean, fun seeing you. I mean, to some people, they're gonna sleep like 5 minutes into it.
Right.
So to me, is that their choice, or is that because of biology? Did they say, hey, I decided I'm gonna go sleep?
You know what's funny is, like, you could say that, but then, like, you have like the Joe Rogan experience, you know, where all they do is just bring on guests that, like, they want to talk about topics and just go deeper into random stuff in life, you know, and ask a lot of questions because it's intriguing to them, you know, and people go, oh, that's really interesting.
Only the people who align with it say it's interesting.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying there's
because of their biology has come in alignment. That's why you and I talk for an hour and a half.
Right. No, I guess my point, I was saying, you said somebody might fall asleep after like 5 minutes. Yeah, somebody might, but there's somebody that might.
I could have. I mean,
an hour.
I know Joe Rogan, right? But I don't listen to his podcast.
I don't either.
Why? It's interesting, quote unquote. What interesting to a lot of people, but not to me.
I agree.
I like Joe Rogan as a person. I like Joe Rogan. I just don't listen to his podcast.
Yeah, I tend to agree as well.
It comes across my feed all the time. I just don't listen to him. You know. And it's my biology. I didn't choose it.
I think there's more to unpack there. But I gotta put a plug in it. All right. Well, that was fun as always, and we'll see you all tomorrow night.
All right, good night. Bye.